Hi, this is Prayesh from Uplatz. I'm trainer for clinical research course.
Hello everyone, how are you? Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to our today's session of Essential Documents in Clinical Trial and Trial Master File. Okay, let's get started. So, let's break the term essential documents. So, essential, yes, you're correct. Essential is absolutely necessary, indispensable, fundamental, basic of or constituting the essence of a person or a thing. And the documents is a piece of written or printed matter that provides a record or evidence of events, agreement, ownership, identification. That is evidence to record. Why it is so much of importance in clinical research? Because, as you know, clinical research or clinical trial is a regulated process. And in this research, if it is not documented, it is considered as not done, right? So, conducting a clinical trial requires the production and maintenance of a wide range of essential documents to ensure that the trial is conducted in a rigorous and ethical manner. It meets regulatory requirements and it provides evidence of safety and efficacy of new treatments. So, in this session, we will discuss the essential documents which are required and how the regulatory binders are kept. Okay. Research that fall under the purview of US FDA is obligated to adhere to the principles of GCP. Okay. The GCP guideline identify the essential documents that investigators are required to generate and maintain. Collectively, these documents are also known as regulatory binders. Okay. So, while the term regulatory binder suggests a physical binder containing hard copies of documents, investigators have the flexibility to decide the most appropriate method and format to satisfy record keeping obligation. Nowadays, due to advancement in the electronic data, now we have electronic trial master files where everyone who is involved in the trial can save their documents. Okay, so let's move to next slide. Yes. So definition as per ICGCP is documents which are individually or collectively permit evaluation of the conduct of a study and the quality of data produced. So next slide. Yes. So essential documents in clinical trial. Now, essential documents are those documents which individually and collectively permit the evaluation of conduct of trial. So these documents will serve to demonstrate the compliance of investigator, sponsor, and monitor with the standards of GCP and with all applicable regulatory documents. Next is filling essential documents at the investigator or institution and sponsor site in timely manner can greatly assist in the successful management of trial by investigator, sponsor, and monitor. These documents are also the ones which are usually audited by sponsors' independent audit function and are inspected by the regulatory authority or authorities as part of process to confirm the validity of the trial conduct and integrity of data collected. So till now with these 4 points you must have understood that who is responsible for maintaining mm, trial master file is investigator, sponsor, and monitor. Okay. And who is accountable? It is the sponsor who is accountable. Sponsor or institution or investigator who is conducting the trial. Okay. And why it is important? For uh, it is to confirm the validity of the trial. And who will confirm this validity is the auditor or inspector. Okay, let's move to next slide now. So you might have question like what are these essential documents are. Okay, so the various documents are grouped in three sections according to the stage of trial during which they will be normally. So depending upon the phase of trial, we have separate documents for each of the um, phase. Okay, so before the clinical phase of the trial commences, there are some documents. During the clinical conduct of the trial, there are some documents which are called as essential. And after completion or termination of trial, there are some documents which are marked as essential documents. Okay, so uh, the documents which will be saved in a file are the file is known as trial master file. So this trial file should be established at the beginning of trial, okay? So that you can save all the documents which are created before the phases begin, okay? So trial master file should be established at the beginning of trial, both at the investigator or institution site and at the sponsor's office. A final closeout of the trial can only be done when the monitor has reviewed both investigator or institution and sponsor files and confirm that all necessary documents are in the appropriate files. Okay, and the seventh point is any or all of the documents addressed in this guideline may be subject to or should be available for audit by the sponsor's auditor or inspection or by the regulatory authorities. Okay, so henceforth we will see what all essential documents are, what are they. Okay, so uh, again, now to assess the sponsor investigator GCP requirements for essential documents, there is a recommended process. There are tools and templates, those are also present. Okay, so the first step is you will categorize uh, before, during, and after trial documents. Next step would be evaluating and choosing the most preferred approach to fulfill each record keeping requirement. Okay, so how do you want to save it? Do you want to keep hard copies, electronic files, or you want to have both? Okay, combination. The step third will be it will involve assigning responsibility for creating, maintaining each essential document and training the assigned personnel on the preferable methods. Okay, so before any clinical research person is creating any file or record keeping any file, they should be properly trained. Next is we should be completing the checklist of GCP essential documents at each stage of the study to document each document, location, format, and who is or was responsible for this documentation. Next, and very important step is it the step should be every professional should incorporate the regulatory binder into the routine self-monitoring process and ensure that records are always available on time, are compliant, are with the quality, are complete. Okay, so that at any given point of time, those are readily available for your audits or inspection. Okay, and now, what is the timeline to keep these records? So, it is 2 years from the date of marketing application approval for the drugs indication, and it is 3 years after completion or closure of the protocol or the retention period required by a specific funding agency. Okay, now we will Okay, so let's start with the essential documents. Okay, so before the clinical phase of the trial commences, during this planning stage, these documents should be generated and should be on file before the trial formally starts. Okay, the next is after. Okay, so during the clinical trial conduct, these documents should be added to the file as evidence that all new relevant information is documented as it becomes available. And the third is after completion or termination. So all these information should be documented together prior to study closeout. Okay, so in next slides we will see what all documents are available as essential documents. Okay, what all documents are required to be documented one by one, and then we will see when is to be filed, or what document should be filed in what particular duration of trial. Okay, so let's get started. So essential documents. First is protocol, very much important. So protocol is critical document that outlines the objective, methodology, statistical consideration, and organization of clinical trial. The protocol serves as a blueprint for the study and provides a framework for the conduct of the trial. Okay. So next is informed consent form. The informed consent is a cornerstone of ethical clinical research. Informed consent form is documented that explains the purpose, risk, benefit, and procedures which are involved in the clinical trial to potential participants. Next is case report form. A case report form is a paper or electronic document used to collect data from trial participants. Next is clinical study report. Okay. CSR. The CSR is a comprehensive document that provides a summary of trial design, result, and conclusion. Next is investigation investigators brochure IB. That is a document which provides a comprehensive overview of medicinal product or device under investigation in clinical trial. It is usually prepared by sponsor of the study and it is intended to provide essential information to the investigators involved in the study. Next is ethics committee or IRB approval. Now, ethics committee or IRB approval is a crucial step in the process of conducting clinical research involving human subjects. An ethics committee or IRB is an independent committee or board that is responsible for reviewing and approving clinical research studies to ensure that they are conducted ethically and in compliance with relevant regulations and guidelines. Next is IRB composition. Okay, so an IRB is a committee that is responsible for reviewing and approving research involving human subject to ensure that it is conducted ethically and in compliance with regulatory requirements. Okay, then so IRB composition, it involves chairperson, members, non-scientific members, alternate members, and IRB staff. Okay, next is insurance statement. In clinical trials, insurance statements may be required to ensure that all parties involved in the trial, including sponsor, investigator, and the participants, are appropriately covered in case of any harm or injury that may occur during the study. Okay, the next is signed agreement between involved parties. It is very important that there is um, agreement which will outline the responsibilities and obligations of each party and to establish a clear understanding of studies goals, methods, and expected outcomes. Next is regulatory authority or authorization or approval of protocol. So regulatory authorities play a very critical role in clinical research, and they ensure that the trial is conducted in safe and ethical manner. So before a clinical trial can begin, the protocol for the trial must be reviewed and approved by appropriate regulatory authorities. So this approval has to be documented. Okay. Then the next is CV, curriculum vitae, or any other relevant document that provide evidence of qualification of investigator or sub-investigator. So this documentation will provide an important information about educational background, relevant trainings, work experience, publication, presentations, which are completed by investigators and sub-investigators. Okay, so this will help to ensure that the trial is conducted by qualified and experienced individuals who can properly conduct and oversee the study. Then comes the study monitoring plan. It is a critical clinical document that outlines the procedures for monitoring and conduct of the trial to ensure that it is being conducted in compliance with the study protocol, GCP guideline, and applicable regulatory requirement. Okay. So, this particular study monitoring plan will provide an information on monitoring objectives, monitoring activities, monitoring frequency, monitoring responsibilities, also the data management, reporting. Okay. So, regular monitoring of the study will help to identify and address any issues that may arise, and it can ensure that the data generated by the study is accurate and reliable. Next part is normal values or ranges that is included in the protocol. Um, this again depends on study specific procedures or tests that are conducted. Okay. The normal ranges will vary depending upon the age, gender, and other factors. And it is important for the protocol to specify the normal values or normal ranges for procedures, as this information is necessary for interpretation of the results of the study. Okay. Then comes the medical or laboratory technical procedures, test, certification, accreditation. So this validation is important for standardization of results. Okay. Then quality control measures and external quality assessment are also used to ensure the accuracy and reproducibility of the result. Next slide. Okay, so sample of label attached to investigator product. Okay, so this information is uh, provided by sponsor or manufacturer of the investigational product, and this will provide extra information to all participants related to investigational product. Next is instructions for handling of investigational product or trial related material. So these instructions should be included in the protocol and also in the investigator's brochure. If not included, they must be provided separately to the investigators. So this will include storage conditions, handling procedure, disposal procedure, shipping procedure, emergency procedure, security procedure, etc. Okay. So this is very important for safety and integrity of investigational product as well as the safety of trial participant. Next is certificate of analysis of investigational product. So this certificate, COA, certificate of analysis, is issued by manufacturer, supplier, or distributor of a product, including investigational product, to provide information on the quality and purity of the product. Okay, therefore, the sponsor or manufacturer of the investigational product should provide certificate of analysis of each batch of the product that is shipped to clinical trial site. Then the decoding procedures for blinded trials. In blinded trials, study participants and or investigators are not aware of which treatment group they belong to, right? So this is done to minimize the risk of bias. So decoding procedures should be clearly defined in the study protocol, and it also should include the criteria for breaking blinding, procedures for unblinding, and the individuals who are authorized to perform the unblinding. Okay, so going to next slide is master randomization list and interactive response technology, IRT. Master randomization list and interactive response technology are important components of a clinical trial to ensure proper randomization of subjects and blinding of treatment assignment. Then, this they are also subject to audit during and after the trial to ensure that the randomization process and blinding are maintained according to the protocol. Next comes the shipping records for investigational product. So it is important to note that shipping records should be kept for a specified period of time as defined by applicable regulators or the study protocol and should be readily retrievable upon request. Very important is adverse event reporting. So, whichever adverse events are seen during the trial are has to be recorded and the information should be retrievable. Okay, next is financial disclosure and undertaking by disclosure. This is very much important so that there is no bias, there is no financial bias. Investigators are by disclosing any potential conflict of interest and committing to conduct of the study in ethical and transparent matter. Investigators can help to ensure that the safety and well-being of study participants are protected and that the study results are reliable and trustworthy. Okay. Last is regulatory binder. All these essential documents are stored in physical or electronic file that contains all the documentation related to the trial. Okay, so the regulatory binder should be kept in a secure location. Access should be restricted to authorized personnel. The regulatory binder should be also available for inspection by regulatory authorities such as FDA or European Medicine Agency. Okay, so now from the next slide, we will go through the documents before the trial begins. The documents which we have seen till now might get repeated, okay? But here you will see when the document should be filed. Okay, so here the investigator brochure, signed protocol amendments are to be done by investigator or sponsor both. Then information is given to subject related to informed consent. The files should be at investigator and sponsor also, financial aspect of the trial, then insurance statement, okay, dated documents approval. Next is institutional review board, ethics committee, regulatory authorities, CV, normal values, medical values, okay. Then instructions for handling investigator product, shipping records, certificate of analysis, then decoding procedures, master randomization list, pre-trial monitoring report, and trial initiation monitoring. So all these were before the trial starts. Now we will see what all documents are required during the clinical trial conduct phase. Okay, so during the conduct of trial, what we will require is any updates to all the important documents which were created prior to study start. Okay, so now here we have investigators brochure, any revisions to protocol. Okay, so updates are done to IB protocol. Okay, so if there are any approvals which are taken after the study has already started. Okay, so that means we need dated and documented approval or favorable opinion of IRB or IEC to continue the trial. Then the same way, uh, regulatory authorities approval is also required. Then CV. So during the conduct of trial, if there are any new investigators added or there are new personals are added to the trial, the updated CV, the latest CV should be available of all those personnel. Also, if there are any updates to the curriculum vitae during the course of trial, each year during fixed time, the CVs, updated CVs should be uploaded. Okay, so if there is electronic trial master file, you will upload it, or if it is paper format, you will create new documentation. Now, updates to normal values ranges, updates of medical laboratory technical procedure test. So, if there are any updates during the course of trial, you will have to upload uh, the updated versions. Next is documentation of investigational product and trial related material shipment. If there are any changes to this particular documents, the updated version has to be uploaded. Next is certificate of analysis. Same way, if there are any changes, it will be filed, but that will be only filed by sponsor. Now, monitoring visit report. So, monitoring will be the responsibility of sponsor, and hence this will be done by sponsor representatives. Next is relevant communication other than site visits. So this is very important during conduct of trial because there are so many discussions ongoing during the trial. The important ones has to be filed to uh, provide support uh, to the any decisions taken. So this will act as supporting documents. Signed informed consent form if there is any update to protocol version, and then informed consent version, the updated signed informed consent are required. Then it is the source documents. Source documents are also required to be uploaded. That will be only investigator or institution's responsibility. Next is signed, dated, completed CRF case report form. So, case report form should so case report form is created after uh, so as and when the CRF has been updated, the signed and dated completed case report forms will be uploaded. So before the closeout of trial, this will be done. Documentation of CRF correction. So during the course of trial, if there are any CRF correction, the documentation has to be uploaded. Notification by originating investigator to sponsor of serious adverse events and related reports. So adverse events and serious adverse event and also uh, important events will be recorded. Okay. So again, any notification by sponsor to IRB-IAC on unexpected serious adverse event or drug reaction or any other safety information that has to be recorded by both investigator and sponsor. Next is notification by sponsor to investigators of safety information. Okay, so during the conduct of trial, safety is very important. So all the information related to safety has to be uploaded. Then interim or annual reports to IRB, IEC authorities. So during the course of trial, there will be some interim analysis or annual reports or IRB review. Uh, so the information of all such reports are required to be uploaded so that in the course of trial, if any information is required, anyone can go back and check the information. Then the subject screening log. So how many patients are getting screened, how they are screened, all the screening information will be documented in subject screening log. Next is subject identification code list. Uh, this code list is again important uh, to if in case there is unblinding of trial. Okay. Then subject enrollment log, investigational product site accountability at site, then signature sheet, record of retained body fluids or tissue samples if any. So this is important for any uh, like this is especially for cancer trials if there are any tissue samples taken. Okay. So next is after completion or termination of trial. So together with all the documents of before, during, this is the list of after completion. So again, same way, investigational product accountability at site. So once the trial is completed or terminated, there will be accountability of investigational product because we don't want to give any extra medicines to anyone, and the medication should be used only for trial purpose. Okay, so that's the reason this accountability is important. Then the documentation of investigational product destruction. So once the trial is completed, this investigational product has to be destructed. Okay, because the purpose of investigational product is only for the trial. Once the trial is completed, we no longer require to get this medicine to any person, any human. Then completed subject identification code list. Okay, audit certificate, audit of all the uh, systems or any locations or sites, etc. So audit certificate, final trial closeout or monitoring report, right? So once the trial is done, the closeout report, how the monitoring has been done, the closeout report is required, treatment allocation and decoding documentation. So once a blinded trial uh, is completed, okay, or the trial is terminated, unblinding has to be done, and how the unblinding is going to be done and how the treatment was allocated, that will be seen during uh, that will be recorded in decoding documentation, and that has to be uploaded after a trial is completed. Next is final report by IRB and then clinical study report. So clinical study report will be the last document which will be uploaded. Okay. So uh, as per sponsor point of view, these are the documents which are important. Consent to participate in the study, letter by investigator, confidentiality agreement between sponsor and investigator, investigator statement such as Schedule Y format. Okay, all correspondence between sponsor and investigator has to be part of essential document. Now, what is the responsibility of investigator in this? Now, the investigator or institution should maintain the trial documents as specified in essential documents for the conduct of clinical trial and as required by the applicable regulatory requirements. The investigator or institution should take measure to prevent accidental or premature destruction of these documents. So moving to next slide, uh, investigator responsibility. Essential documents should be retained until at least 2 years after the last approval of a marketing application in an ICH region and until there are no pending or contemplated marketing applications in ICH region or at least 2 years have elapsed since the formal discontinuation of clinical development of the investigational product. These documents should be retained for a longer period, however, if required by the applicable regulatory requirements or by agreement with the sponsor. Okay. Next, sponsor responsibilities. The sponsor should inform the investigator or institution in writing of the need for record retention and should notify the investigator or institutions in writing when the trial related records are no longer needed. Okay. Next is we will go through electronic trial master file. So till now we have seen what all are the documents, right? But how do we save these documents? Okay, so initially, when there was no electronic formats available, these all documents were saved physically, and you can imagine how difficult it must have been, right? So now, historically, TMFs have been paper-based content sets stored in physical file cabinets, central file rooms, or shelved in binders. The size and complexity of a TMF is direct proportion to the length and complexity of the trial. The TMF is actively built during a trial and must be maintained during post-trial period for possible regulatory agency inspection, right? So traditionally, the TMF content names and requirements varies from sponsor to sponsor. So now what has been done due to the availability of electronic records, we have moved to electronic trial master files. Okay. Now, ETMF systems are crucial in ensuring that every record is secured so that it can be accessed, modified, and verified by relevant parties at any time. Okay. So, as the clinical trial programs expand and progress further, a real time transparency system that can quickly identify which documents are missing or a product that has been expired can help the research team to quickly fill the gaps and move on. Okay, so ETMS system can be installed by hosting providers or creators in-house by organizations depending on their needs, including blockchain technology. Okay, so the features are one central database for all data related to an ETMF system. It is password protected, so unauthorized person or user cannot access it. Again, auditing capabilities that allow you to keep track of who has accessed your data at any given time. Okay, so moving to next time, history and background. So as we have seen, paper-based TMFs are centralized set of central documents that typically are used to support and comply with applicable regulatory requirements. So organizations using electronic content management system can achieve higher levels of clinical trial productivity, cost saving, and can improve clinical trial quality while trimming clinical study trials timelines. So now required components of an eTMF system. It should be machine readable classification scheme. It should be published standard based terms. It should have automated digital signatures. It should have automated documentation of audit trial and again based on web standards. eTMF Standards Initiative. The initiative known as OASIS TMF Standard Technical Committee has a stated objective to define an open, internationally recognized standard that will assure information interoperability among clinical trial stakeholders in the biopharma industry. According to minutes from OASIS ETMF Standard Technical Committee, the standards initiative is coordinating the efforts of clinical trial sponsors, CROs, academic research organization, and vendors to develop ISO standards. Okay, now again, in ETMF, we will have essential documents as a section and one more as non-essential. So non-essential section will be used by CROs or investigators or site staff to store the documents which are supporting to essential documents. So in course of study trial, in course of trial conduct, if there are any documents which are required as a support, for example, user acceptance testing reports, monitoring plan reports, data validation reports, audit reports, etc. So this can be saved in non-essential area. Okay. So ETMF can help your organization in three functions like data capture. The ETMF serves as a single source for entering electronic records into one central database. These records include things like patient information, demographic, medical history, all etc. Then document management, that is document tracking. So you can allow your so TMF will allow you to track all the documents within study, such as invoice, order, receipts related to activities. Then document archiving. The ETMF should have a robust solution archiving huge content of the clinical trial master file. So at least 25 years in a way that is really available and accessible upon request. Okay. Now, uh, the benefits of ETMF system. Now, growth in regulations, state, federal, and industry regulation continue to grow and evolve. So, at a time, the study might face two or more audits. So, providing information to auditors becomes easy. Risk management, significant risk and penalties for non-compliance and including fines and custom lawsuits can be done, okay, easily. Product quality, enhance product quality through easier audits and management, accelerate clinical trials. Okay, electronic document saving with clinical trial stakeholders, that is, investigator agencies, clinical research centers, can help resolve issues faster, accelerate clinical trial milestones. It also saves time in creation of documentation, saving, like there is a lot of money involved in providing space, warehouses to save those paper records. In comparison, electronic records are easy to save. Again, cost saving, save the document and overnight courier costs, save document physical storage costs, save administrative staff, document handling and management cost, right? Time saving, anytime, anywhere, access to document helps the business operations forward faster than manual paper-based processes, correct? Then the ETMS has helped to make clinical trials more efficient and secure by making it easier for everyone involved in a trial to access and verify records. It also helps to eliminate errors because everything is stored electronically rather than paper. By ensuring the integrity of the clinical trial conducted by multiple stakeholders, this ultimately improves the quality of life for patients who are waiting for new medicines, right? So to just give an example, okay, we have lot of ETMF providers, okay, uh, and there will be separate teams which will be there to see the quality of data. Okay, there will be different reports run to see the compliance, timeliness. Okay, so one is Viva, well known. So again, within the systems, uh, as the accesses are very specific, like for example, if there are 30 sites at a time, 30 sites can upload the documents from their own site locations, but site 1 cannot see the documents of site 2 and vice versa. But as a sponsor, you can view all 30 sites documents, correct? Again, if you are uploading any documents which are audit related, but only auditors should have access. But there are some documents which auditors should not view. You can restrict the access of auditors to certain folders. So it becomes very easy to provide data to auditors. Okay, the quality personnels who are dedicated to review ETMF will provide reports of timeliness, cleanliness, compliance, right? And also, if there are any errors, the person who is responsible to upload the documents will easily know where is the mistake done or where is the correction required, and they can upload the documents easily, updated documents easily. So that's how the benefits of ETMF system and usability. Now let's go to the thank you slide. So, okay. So, so when there were paper records, this was the scenario. So the manager says, and this is the form you sent back to confirm you have sent back all other forms. Okay. So just imagine how difficult it would have been if there are several documents and find out the exact one which is required. Correct? So essential documents are essential for clinical research. Documentation is very important, but the timeliness, cleanliness, and quality documents are important. So ETMF is the solution, right? S- Okay, thank you so much.